What happens when a flight goes haywire mid-air? Passengers of JetBlue Flight 292 found out firsthand on their flights from California to New York, a flight that ended in flames, smoke, and sparks. After the flight took off from Burbank's Bob Hope Airport, an indicator light came on noting that there was an issue with the landing gear. The front tires of the airplane had swiveled sideways and were frozen there, as the retraction gear hadn't fully retracted. With 146 passengers on board, the airliner swung laps in the California sky for 3 hours to burn off fuel, so that their emergency landing wouldn't be so fiery. They were told to land at LAX, as it was supplied with more emergency equipment and a longer runway on which to land. The pilot would land it using primarily the back wheels of the airliner. All the while, people were watching this scary event live at home on TV. Passengers were watching it on their tiny TV monitors on the back side of each seat. Loads of emergency equipment sat ready on the runway, while more than 100 firefighters awaited the landing. Time stood still, with thousands stopping on highways and watching from nearby buildings. As the jetliner made its final approach, passengers were told to get in the brace position as they prepared for landing. Needless to say, many feared for their lives in this moment, but the pilot managed to land softly on the runway, on the plane's back wheels. It was the smoothest landing I ever had, one passenger said. As its front end touched down, friction sent up plenty of sparks and blaze, but the fire subdued quickly. The passengers, and everyone watching, were relieved that this scary, intense event didn't end up much worse. Applause broke out on board for the pilots and crew. The pilot's cool-headed grit has since been praised the world over, as it should be. Have you ever watched a clip that terrified you so much that you just had to share it with a friend? That's definitely the case for this video, posted to YouTube by Mysterious Things in February of 2020. The footage purports to show an unknown flying object flying in broad daylight above Quebec City. From far away, the figure in the sky appears to be dressed in white and launching upward. Upon closer, unfocused, and wavering inspection, the unknown flying object does indeed look like a human figure dressed in white. At times, its clothing shines luminescent, while the figure spins, launching into the sky. When the camera gets in closer and more focused, the figure looks even more dramatic. It appears to be on fire. If that's not in fact Iron Man, as YouTuber Graham Sherwood suggests in the comments, perhaps it could be a meteor headed towards Earth, while other commenters say this is impressive and looks legit. YouTuber Damian Torres is more skeptical, suggesting it looks like silver helium balloons with the sun reflecting off of it. What do you think? Is this just a mistaken balloon, or do you think this unknown flying object is worthy of some supernatural speculation? Whatever it is, it's terrifying. This Airbnb promises you a terrible night's sleep. Published by Chelsea Luna in October of 2020, this scary video takes you on a tour of America's most haunted Airbnb. Chelsea's creepy overnighter begins with a hiss.
What does that mean?
She looks around but sees nothing. Her dog doesn't take kindly to this place and starts barking at nothing. When she asks if there's anyone there, she hears a whistle.
Is anyone in here?
And later a knock sounds at the door, setting off the dog alarm. After a while, she heads outside only to hear more disturbing noises. Back inside, she finds red liquid on the wall and later feels something right behind her.
Is there a spirit?
Oh my gosh.
Quiet.
As they're later talking to a demon named Raymond, a water bottle falls on its own, startling them. They continue talking to the spirit when something loud is heard. It looks like an object flies in Chelsea's face.
Are you a demon?
As the pair are considering leaving the haunted Airbnb to grab a coffee at Starbucks, you hear a loud thump.
I'll just drive. I don't care. I'm down to go.
We're gonna stop at the gas station to get a triple shot.
Sounds like Raymond, the demon, doesn't want them to go. Humans have always made computers, but on a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com, it's now the other way around. It uses a sophisticated computer algorithm to create realistic photos of people who were never actually born. Looking into the eyes of a photorealistic person who doesn't exist is strange enough, but get this, sometimes the computer messes up, and this is the result. In this first glitch, a fictional man's entire lower jaw is replaced with a solid chunk of bad data. It looks like he is screaming into the abyss, and the surprised, hollow look in his eyes just makes it even worse. And when the computer really gets things wrong, it creates this horrifying humanoid sidekick with a jack-o'-lantern grin, and oddly enough, glasses under pale green eyes that do not even fully surround the iris. The glasses don't have a nose piece because, well, the creature does not have a nose. A YouTuber named Brett Johnson says there is a ghost in the hallway of his house haunting him every night when he returns from work, and what's most bizarre is that the paranormal activity only happens in the hallway. The ghost doesn't seem to care about haunting any other places. It's not a draft either. Even with a big fan blowing the opposite way, a ghost still closes the door, and when he puts his camera down and waits for 2 hours, the door behind the fan mysteriously opens. It's like the ghost is messing with his mind. I would say that this is a fake video except for one thing. When he investigates the rest of his house to show us, nothing is there. A weird noise happens nearby, like something passes right by him, and it seems to have left through the front door. Even though this snake wasn't on a plane, Samuel L. Jackson would probably not appreciate its presence on this train platform. Tweeted by Triple G RTO, he writes, "Being a train operator for NYCT Subway, I thought I have seen it all, but this can't be real. Oh, it's real alright. This feet-long snake, which has been identified as a non-venomous black eastern rat snake, was spotted on a subway platform in New York City on August 10th, 2020. The species can grow up to 7 feet and is native to the East Coast region, from Connecticut down to South Carolina and west to Kansas. It feeds on rodents, which may be why it's lurking in a New York subway station. As the enormous snake weaves slowly across the platform, a commuter stands not far off, waiting for her train's arrival. The MTA addressed the situation in a tweet writing, "This is a new one for us. They were investigating the matter and aren't aware how it got there, although the reptile doesn't appear to have an owner, so may have just been out for a midday stroll or slither. Still, I'm sure many New Yorkers wouldn't want to share the L train with this scaly passenger." Sean learned about summoning Bloody Mary from a friend. He thought about it for a couple days and then decided to try it for himself to see what happens. First, he tries to summon her with the lights on, and he isn't surprised when that method doesn't work. Next, he tries it with the lights off, which is something that he is a little hesitant to do, and with good reason too. He says her name 3 more times, and this is what he sees.
God!
The hunched over figure behind him gives him a startle, and Sean turns out the lights just to make the terrifying scene go away. When he turns the lights back on, she has vanished. Just like in other videos, the doorknob gets jammed as he tries to leave, and then it suddenly releases. He retreats into the main area of his house and the video ends. I will say that this video could very well be fake. Maybe Bloody Mary is really just his sister or someone else he knows. His reaction seems a little off too, kind of like it could have been staged, but then again, he might have been really frightened and just trying to keep his cool for the camera. It's hard to tell for certain. A group of friends are exploring an abandoned house, but they get no further than the front door before they get freaked out by a possible ghost sighting. According to the description, if you look closely at the right side of the window, you'll see a shadow figure looking at them. Take a look at what they've caught on tape and tell me if you see a shadow figure on the right.
Right there.
it's not. That's a shadow. That's shadow. That's shadow.
Exactly.
Pega ya al teléfono.
At first, I thought they were maybe talking about this shadowy figure down here, which is on the right like they say, but I'm pretty sure that's the shadow of the person holding the camera, and what could be a glowing eye is actually light from their camera too. Also, the person in a red shirt who sees the shadow figure is pointing in an entirely different direction. Like I said, I don't see anything paranormal in this video, but every single person in the comments says there is a shadow figure caught on camera if you look close enough. Just because I don't see it doesn't mean one isn't there. Somebody help me out because I want to know what they are looking at. When you do see it, apparently it's really scary. Steve and Jake are wandering around the woods one summer night with a single goal in mind. They want to explore an abandoned local chapel that's rumored to be haunted. As they approach, they see that someone has written prayers and warnings all over the outside wall. The two friends instantly get a bad feeling about this adventure, but they swallow their fear and decide to press on. The rickety main door is locked, so they sneak around back. Already, they don't want to be here much longer. They had explored an old clock tower earlier in the day and were greatly disappointed by a lack of paranormal activity. But they could tell this church is way different. The place looked and felt quite haunted. They go up some wooden steps and enter through the back door. They shine their flashlights deep into the church's main assembly. There's rows and rows of wooden pews ahead of them. They pass by a podium and notice a piano. Then they head deeper inside. Now they find themselves inside of a small maintenance closet. They close the door behind them because they don't want anyone sneaking up on them. It feels like anyone could be watching them right now. They see a ladder to the left. Steve is about to climb it until Jake jokes that a body is going to fall down on him if he does, so he decides not to. That's when the piano starts to play from outside.
Oh no. Oh my god. Turn off the light. Turn off the light. Listen. Shit, it's not the piano. Is that piano? Come on. Should we go out there? Is that door open?
It's a soft and haunting piano melody that fills the church. Steve and Jake shut off their flashlights and keep recording. They debate whether or not they should go outside or stay here, where it's semi-safe. They realize that they can't spend the entire night trapped in the broom closet of a haunted church, so they turn their flashlights back on to see who is playing. Sitting at the piano at the far end of the room is a black hunched over phantom. They scream and shut the door. Jake cries for a bit, then they run away through the back exit. The music stops as soon as they leave the church. They were hoping that the music stopped because it was over, but in reality, it was because the ghost had gotten up from the piano to chase them. They run a good distance before pausing to look back into the dark scenery. It seems like they've gotten away, but then the ghost finds them and they run away screaming. The camera cuts off as they fall back deeper into the woods. At least one of them survived and uploaded this video onto YouTube, where it's remained for the past 10 years. If the backstory to this video is real, then none of the friends you are looking at here are still alive. Their families gave police permission to release this video in hopes of solving what happened to them. At some point during their final car ride together, they go through a lonesome old tunnel in the middle of a private country road. They don't think much of it until they come across the same tunnel again, and then a third time. They're driving in a straight line and not a circle. Yet this creepy location keeps greeting them as if they never left. It only gets worse when the engine stops working. If you think this video is fake, then please take a moment and tell me how they were able to make it look like their car breaks down.
Just over here. I don't want to sit.
Anyway, not too long after their car stops working, a song skips on the radio and this figure heads straight their way. And when the car works, they go to reverse. You can see the figure immediately appears behind them in return. I think this last part looks like it could be an amateur horror movie, to be honest, but tell me if this part is editing or not, and then we'll know the real truth. Houses aren't the only stomping grounds for ghosts. Apparently, so are Walmarts. Posted by YouTuber Shabard, he notes that this little girl Walmart ghost was caught on surveillance camera in Oxnard, California. Shabard writes, Walmart is haunted by the ghost of a 7 to 9-year-old Mexican-American girl. According to Shabard, night workers at Walmart claim to have felt cold spots and to have seen balls bouncing on their own. Others say they've seen the girl in a solid full apparition, while the ghost has appeared to some as a misty half-body apparition. Those who come across the ghost state that she smiles, giggles, and is often playful, but there's just one problem. According to the website Backpackerverse, the girl's eyes are disturbingly milky white, and from the mouth down, her whole body is covered in red liquid, apparently an appalling amount of it. The video purportedly captures this friendly ghost in semi-transparent form. She appears to be pursuing the closed section of Walmart. She can be seen for a split second before she vanishes out of view again. She isn't wearing her regular blue dress, but appears to be wearing some shorts and a t-shirt. She also does not seem to be covered in red, so who knows? Perhaps there is a second ghost haunting these hallowed grounds. A Russian YouTuber known as Tret shared a video online of him wandering around through a local forest equipped with a video camera. Because the video is in Russian, I'm not entirely sure what he is saying during the video, but I'm going to assume he is saying he is filming in the forest to see if he can capture anything of interest on camera. And if that is what he's saying, then he got exactly what he wished for.
Как-то мрачно, очень мрачно. Еще и в колодце что-то шипит. Может, ужик.
Wow. What the heck is that? It looks like a human face, but its eyes are glowing, and you can kind of see it almost looks like a skull with glowing eyes. And what the heck it's doing down here is a question I do not have the answer to. It looks like it's at the bottom of a well and notices that it's being filmed and just sort of looks straight up into the camera. That is just terrifying. And in classic fashion, the cameraman runs away immediately after seeing this, which is totally understandable given the circumstances. Instead of looking like some sort of paranormal entity, I personally think that this looks like some sort of skeleton because of the shape of its head, and I can almost make out some bones. Interestingly though, this skeleton-like creature seems to have dark glowing purple eyes, which would be strange considering how skeletons are not alive. So what exactly is this creature that Tret saw? As for now, it remains a mystery. Who just let themselves in? Shared by YouTuber Paranormal Road Trip, this mysterious footage of the National Museum of Funeral History in Houston, Texas, appears to show paranormal activity. Watch the doors to the left.
She sets it on.
And it opens again.
Nobody else is here.
Oh yeah. Oh damn. Yeah.
The doors at the far end appear to open on their own. No one steps out though. It happens again while a group of people are standing at the end of the hallway.
And that door is the latch door.
Somebody
right?
has to turn the knob for that door to open.
Yeah.
Or push it from the inside.
Push it.
So it's not just air pressure from opening the front. You actually got to push it.
Push it.
They recreate the incident on the other side of the door in order to see if the air pressure from the outer door causes it to open.
Doors didn't even budge.
Not even.
They didn't even budge. They're too heavy to do that.
So what happened here? Is there still some potential for air pressure? I think there could be. What if there were windows open in the room at the time that may have provided the right circumstances for the door to pop open? Let me know what you think in the comments. A bizarre dashcam video has caught some weird moments on the highway in Puerto Rico. This driver has their door open while going full speed. It looks like they've somehow forgotten to close it until 22 seconds when a hand reaches over to make sure it doesn't fly all the way open during a turn. I guess the door was broken or something, in which case they really should pull over because that is incredibly unsafe. Hopefully they never have to make a sharp turn or else somebody is spilling out onto the road. A YouTuber named Talk to Trending records a ghost video in Tamil, India at a haunted fort. An extremely powerful spirit is said to reside here, and the ghost hunters can't resist the chance to explore the abandoned building for paranormal traces.
நான் என்னோட கேமராமேன்ட்ட போறேன். நான் இங்க தனியா நின்னுட்டு இருக்கேன். சுத்தி சத்தம் ஏதோ கேக்குது.
As they talk more about the haunted place, a ghostly apparition materializes behind them. It looks to be in the shape of a person wearing robes from head to toe, and when it moves out of sight, the ghost hunter looks over his shoulder where it would have been. I think this could be his paranormal sixth sense kicking in to keep him safe, but this could also simply be the way his flashlight plays against the stone wall behind him. Although it's weird that it takes such a human-like shape, tell me what explanation you think is true. A YouTuber named Phoenix is alone in the woods trying to record nature sounds for an ASMR channel when everything goes wrong in the scariest way possible. A scary loud scream from deep in the woods has Phoenix running and later wondering what this unknown creature could be. No native animal makes that sound, he says, though for some reason it kind of sounds like a goose or something like that, and there's water nearby before the scream occurs, so a bird could be exactly what this mysterious creature is. Tell me if you know what kind of scream this was, and how much danger was Phoenix really in during this scary moment. While exploring the abandoned Davutlu village, the YouTube crew from Han Kardasler find they're not alone. One woman comes out of the woodwork.
Ay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Kul auzu bi rabbin nas, melikin nas, ilahin nas, müşerrin nas, vesselam.
Gelin buraya bakayım.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oğlum biri var yanında.
Gel. Gel tanıdım seni gel.
The woman leads them to this strange dark figure hiding behind a corner, but the figure disappears as they approach.
Gelin.
Sen ne yapıyorsun burada ya?
Ne yapacağım ben her yerde geziyorum.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oğlum. Ne oluyor ya? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Gel.
It then reappears in the downstairs window. The mysterious figure appears only as a form, a shadow if you will. While the crazy woman tells the crew something, her silent husband stands by with his back to the camera. The figure has again vanished from sight.
Var.
Abi ne oluyor?
Bu da benim sevgilim. Gel buraya.
Şaka mı bu?
Bak yakaladım
Baksana
onu.
adama baksana kanka. Çok tuhaf çok.
Gel.
Oğlum bu la ilahe yemiş ya.
Gel buraya.
Oh gidiyor.
And then the woman appears to go nuts, shooing them off and even throwing stuff at them.
Artık gidin yeter. Hadi. Hadi gidin artık.
Abi bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Hadi gidin artık.
Ay.
Yeter peşimden gidin. Gelmeyin artık.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Adam dışarı çıktı.
Artık yeter.
After being chased around, they later see the figure in the window again.
Bayram. Orada duruyoruz. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bayram bu ne böyle ya? Kafayı yiyeceğim. Abi.
But it's not any clearer what the figure is. I have no clue what this entity may be, but it seems to me that this old woman might be protecting it from outsiders. I'm not so sure it needs her protection though. In 2019, an allegedly real supernatural creature sighting video emerged from Sindh, Pakistan. According to villagers, this bizarre humanoid was caught entering houses and attempting to devour them. They all formed a group to chase it with sticks down the street into the night, while dodging blows at exactly 7 seconds. The creature looks to reveal a furry face with all red eyes. However, I think this looks like a mask worn by somebody pretending to be a monster. Maybe the villagers were making a fake video, or maybe in their mass panic they were really fooled into believing this monster existed. I'll keep an eye out for similar sightings around Pakistan, but I don't think I'll find many like this one because, well, it probably isn't real. If I'm wrong though, and plenty of people who've seen this video think that I am, then this creature sighting would be absolutely horrifying to have caught on camera. I wish they had a longer recording of the incident. YouTuber Yvonne thinks her apartment is haunted. Posted in January of 2018. Yvonne writes that she heard a clanking noise in her home and turned on the camera to try to capture the noise. She notes in the video description, our cabinets are brand new, no way for any rodent to get in. Also, they are the kind that don't swing shut on their own. You have to physically close them. The short clip shows a shot of her kitchen, assumedly from where the sound was coming. After a moment, a large clattering is heard as a cupboard opens of its own accord, and something from inside falls to the floor.
Oh my god.
This isn't the first case of odd happenings in the home. According to Yvonne, strange occurrences have been going on for a while. What do you think? Is it time to move? A large rat finds itself trapped in what looks to be the corner of a kitchen. It appears to be at the mercy of the man recording, who, to be fair, seems to want to cause it no harm to begin with. But as Marcus Goodiron zooms out, you can see to your horror that this is not in a kitchen at all, nor is it on the floor. I guess a large rat climbing your wall isn't exactly the happiest of endings, but it is most definitely unexpected, not to mention a good reason to give the walls a good scrub down. Vadim Vadimich is a Russian YouTuber who often explores the radioactive remains of Chernobyl, an abandoned power plant that went into meltdown during the 1980s. On this journey, he and his friends find an abandoned daycare center that seems quite haunted. One of the first things they find are two dolls. One is headless and the other has poked-in eyes, shaded black all around, as if someone was pressing down aggressively hard as they scribbled. It's not a welcoming sign, but could just be the work of some edgy teens, or maybe even someone in their own group, so they press on. Across from the dolls is this picture of a Russian team all huddled around a strange object in the center. I don't know what this is in the middle, so someone help me out because it might be a clue. I assume this was a picture of the kids who used to come here before the meltdown. Who knows how many, if any, actually made it to adulthood due to the radioactive exposure. Immediately behind the photo is a creepy old picture of a Russian woman in full uniform crying. I don't understand the significance of this picture, but I feel like they are saying something important here. So translate this part from Russian to English if you can. After a while, it becomes apparent that they are all being watched. These white eyes first appear on the other side of a window at 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I thought it was just his light, until I realized the light is hitting his chest and shouldn't be visible behind him at all. And here at 3 minutes and 52 seconds, the eyes appear again in a doorway, much closer. It's just for a split second, but I mean, whose flashlight looks like that? Nobody's that I know. Those look like eyes for sure, glowing ones at that. They come across a portion of building they've explored before, but this time the door is partially opened, so they cautiously step inside. The first thing I noticed were these floating eyes at 7 minutes and 56 seconds. They look exactly the same size and shape as the ones before, but what they saw was the top of someone's head, someone incredibly tall and standing totally still. Standing motionless is a figure with a blacked out face and long white garbs. They run away and soon encounter it again. Its white clothes somewhat resemble the doll clothes we saw earlier. Could that have been a warning? When it gets close to them, it seems shorter than before, but impossibly broad-shouldered and powerful looking. I don't know why they let it get this close, but I guess they were frozen in place from fear and tired from running. I hope this was just a mannequin or something, but when it does this, I know it's far from a prop.
Да, Вадим, уйди назад.
The group retreats back inside, and now cornered eventually resorts to smashing through a window and takes a risk climbing through broken glass just to get away from whatever they just saw. So I think it's real. The grounds where a double life-taking has occurred is no place to be at night. The guys in this video learned that the hard way. Published to YouTube by the Valspire family in October of 2017, this ghost investigation has all the right ingredients for fear: a storm, an abandoned house at night in the middle of the woods, and a Ouija board. The host, Aiden, says the house has a super creepy backstory and is said to be haunted. The story goes that two male lovers built a mansion up in the woods. As such things weren't accepted at the time, the men had their lives taken in this home. The suspects received life sentences in 1982, but the fact that the police investigation turned up occult tools and books, along with the macabre decor of the home, turned the event into a media circus. The men were labeled devil worshippers. And now back to this video. The ghost investigators leave their house at midnight in a storm, planning to arrive at Corpsewood Manor at 3 a.m. They drive into the woods and then set out on foot on the path, not sure where they are, ready to get lost. They arrive at a fork in the road and finally find their way to the abandoned manor. Aiden hears a grumbling, which he admits may be thunder.
I heard like a grumbling, but that might have been thunder.
He says that his camera, with its full battery, keeps shutting off every time they attempt to start with the Ouija board. At 3 in the morning, they begin asking the Ouija board if anyone had their life taken there. Nothing happens, but they do hear something in the vicinity. Aiden says that he wants to go check it out and thinks it sounded like someone walking.
I heard someone over there.
Jared is freaked out, hearing another sound in the trees. He thinks it was probably the wind.
Dude, I heard something.
No, you did not.
They decide to leave because Jared can't take it anymore. Can you blame him? Aiden recalls that when he sat at the Ouija board and opened up the portal to the spirit world, he forgot to say goodbye, and he claims that ever since then, weird stuff has been happening. All I know is that place seriously seemed haunted. Exploring with Danny is checking out the neighborhood and commenting about how deserted everything looks nowadays. He heads to a nearby park and is looking at the water when he senses something scary in the woods nearby.
Hello? Whoa, hello? Hello?
This mysterious figure in all white looks like some kind of zombie, or a witch, or at the very least a scary person up to no good. And there's also a mysterious red light glowing behind it that looks weird too. Danny runs from the strange encounter and realizes to his horror that he's being followed. Just when he thinks it's lost his trail, the maniac creature comes crawling at him at a really weird angle and speed that looks supernatural and really creepy.
What the?
But here it just looks like somebody crawling on their hands and knees, so maybe it's not paranormal after all. A YouTuber named JackCKXX is exploring an abandoned factory with some friends when they come across stairs leading to the upper levels. Something feels incredibly off about the place, but none of them want to look like the scared ones, so they all move deeper into the complex. They search around for a few minutes and don't find much besides an old picture. The factory has been abandoned for well over a decade, yet it feels like something is watching and following them at every turn. Finally, one of them has had enough and doesn't care about being brave anymore. He looks down a pitch black hallway and says,
"No, Jack, I think we should leave."
Now they are sure something is nearby and they start speaking in hushed whispers. It's hard to tell what they are saying, but it's clear that they are quite ready to get out of here. Meanwhile, whatever is watching them from the shadows is no longer worried about staying quiet and seems to be approaching fast. There's nothing left to do except find the nearest exit and get out, but everyone is too scared to think anymore and they remain frozen in place, listening in terror as footsteps draw near. Finally, something scares them into immediate action. They all run as fast as they can and quickly make it out of the factory in less than a minute. I have no idea what could make that noise, but I'm almost positive it wasn't human. On February 5th, 2002, Robert Pickton was taken into custody by a Vancouver police task force who had found personal items on his pig farm from a woman who had disappeared. There were no other clues aside from the missing belongings, such as a prescription inhaler and other items. In other words, enough evidence to hold him, but not enough for a solid conviction. Prosecutors needed more evidence, so on February 23, 2002, they sent one of their best undercover officers to pose as an inmate to try to get Robert to confess his actions. Robert hadn't had a friend in a long time and was more than willing to swap stories with what he thought was a fellow like-minded psycho. What he revealed was absolutely horrifying. The undercover officer leads the conversation by saying the ocean is the best way to get rid of the passed away. Roberts is quick to correct him.
I thought the best way to dispose of something was taking the ocean. Any better than that?
With CCTV cameras rolling overhead, the undercover officer gets Robert Pickton to admit something he had not said to the detective in years. The reason they weren't able to find any of the passed away was because he had put them through meat processing equipment and most likely fed them to his pigs. When the undercover agent tries to get him to say more about what he's done, Robert gives us a glimpse into what a person like him thinks of the people whose lives he's taken. What's most terrifying of all about this is how they were nothing more to him than a number. He sees no individuality, nothing to make them human or set them apart. They are all the same to him, a number that he wants to make even for his own selfish satisfaction. Robert Pickton might have gotten away with all 50 acts, if not for this self-incriminating testimony, which was used against him. On December 11th, 2007, he was sentenced to life behind bars. He decided not to make a statement upon being sentenced. I guess he felt like he had already said enough. Do mirrors reflect reality? Or could they be portals to another world? Published by Augustina Devia in July of 2021, this creepy clip has me wondering if this is real or an optical illusion. In the video, Augustina is speaking with some guitarists on a video chat platform called Omegle. As she's chatting with the guys, something unnerving is happening in the mirror behind her. Take a closer look. The closet mirror reflects a dark shape sitting on Augustina's bed. You can also see a dark shape over her shoulder on her bed. You'd assume this was the thing being reflected, only the shape in the mirror is not an accurate reflection of the object on the bed. The item on her bed, which appears to be a piece of clothing lying on its side, doesn't match the object in the mirror, which is sat up and alert. Is the object in the mirror actually out of view behind her? But then again, if that's the case, why isn't the object on the bed positioned sideways, reflected at all? Is this an optical illusion? The more you stare at this, the less sense it makes. Basements are built to house all the evils of the world. This basement is no exception. Published by YouTuber Mr. Vujade in February of 2012, this frightening basement monster will scare the living daylights out of you. The short clip sees our protagonist heading downstairs into a creepy dark basement. As he slowly searches the space, it appears empty, apart from a few piles of storage items, some bicycles, the usual suspects in a basement. But then suddenly he turns, which is when he is confronted by this. I'm never going down there again, the YouTuber writes. Who can blame him? I don't think I could ever work up the courage to explore that basement. This one took me a few tries before I could see what they were talking about. Watch the shoulder lane on the left, and soon you'll see the shadowy outline of a mysterious figure.
You got a person?
I have little doubt that this video is real and not edited, so the question becomes whether or not this was an actual spirit. Notice how the figure is devoid of all features. a strong sign of the paranormal, and maybe it's just because they are passing by at a high rate of speed, but I can almost see right through them. The entire lower half of their body is practically invisible. Lingering above the colony venue in Woodstock, New York, YouTuber Woodstock Webgirl captured this strange unidentified flying object on camera. What is that? Here's a closer look. One YouTuber says it's an airplane, but I've never seen an airplane appear round in form, even from a great distance. Airplanes also don't generally hang in the same spot for a long period of time. While I can't say for sure that it's extraterrestrial, it's certainly unidentifiable and flying, so it is technically an unidentified flying object. Police arrive to find a mother of two is seeing things on the roof while holding her two children. She doesn't believe a word anyone has to say and thinks everyone is out to get her. Now it's up to them to bring everybody down safely. They climb onto the narrow ledge, and there's barely enough room for a grown man to stand. She is in such an anxious, delusional state that not even a legitimate badge and uniform are enough to convince her. My analysis of this part is that she thinks that he is putting away his badge too quickly, which in her mind means it must be fake.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah, real.
No, really. Let me see.
Yeah, right here. See? It says police.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Eventually, she thinks he is real, but then she thinks his partner is an imposter. She reads his name tag out loud and freaks out.
No, who are you? Point blank? Point blank? Body adventure? No, point blank!
I think his name is Blaine Points or something like that, but I can't figure out what the significance is to her. Also, it sounds like she calls him a body avenger, whatever that means. At this point, she is so frantic that she might lose her balance. So the cops have to grab the kids by the arm and get into a terrifying tug of war. The poor kid has an adult pulling on each arm. The situation is probably horrifying for them. Eventually, the police win and round the children up, who sadly probably won't be seeing their mother again until well into their teenage years, if ever. A YouTuber named BatBatBox and his friend are all geared up and ready to do some serious exploring down a drainage tunnel that runs deep beneath the streets in Norway. Recent rains raise the water up to their knees, and a storm surge could leave them over their heads in a moment's notice. Many small side passages tempt them, but the rising water makes it too risky. They soon reach an impasse in the form of a fallen tree that quickly brings their exploration to a close. But just as the two friends are having a quick conversation about what to do next, a third party joins in. Something calls from the other side of the clogged pipe, a weird noise in their words, but definitely a scared human voice in my opinion. It doesn't make any other noise or ask for help, and when they try to find the source, it's gone. The tunnel is empty except for them, or so they think. All they find is this weird, large glove with sharpened fingers left behind, an iron claw in their words, like something a madman would wear. And when the passage they were looking down earlier begins to churn out a murky gray substance, they get out of there quick before anything else gets a chance to appear. That's a lot of unexplained events to have happen in one tunnel. Mysteries I don't think they were ready to solve. Maybe they heard someone's last moments before being taken away down that small passage, and whatever was down there was probably coming for them next. A coffee shop in New Jersey, known only as the Cafe, is rumored to be quite haunted. This used to be a hardware store long ago, and every day at 3 in the afternoon, the old owner is said to still make rounds. A paranormal investigation team sets up a camera to test the rumor out, and sure enough, at 3 in the afternoon, this light anomaly plays against the wall. It looks like someone is walking through the room at first, but then again, it could simply be light reflecting off the window of a vehicle driving by. Roughly half an hour later is when a second camera records this chair moving by itself. First it pulls out and then it smoothly goes back into place, like somebody sitting at the table. There are no strings on the legs and no visible shadow on the wall, so I think it could have been a ghost like they say it was. The ghost hunters also claim to have heard footsteps too, but unfortunately the video evidence does not have sound, so there's no way to verify that part of their investigation. This happened in May of 2020, so hopefully we get more potential ghost sightings from this coffee shop in the near future. Dark Mystic is the name of a paranormal YouTuber in Russia who intends on exploring an abandoned cottage home in the middle of some pretty scary woods late at night. He wants to determine what kind of paranormal entities haunt this abandoned building, and he's certain he's caught creepy things on camera. He finds a room with half the walls covered in newspaper clippings. They look to have been carefully cut out and are not overlapping, which to me means they were meant to be read instead of part of a remodeling project or something like that. If you speak Russian, what do these headlines say? I can't help but suspect this is a trophy room and someone is proud of making the news.
Кто здесь?
He hears somebody cough, but nothing is there. It's creepy, but the paranormal activity really picks up when he goes exploring the haunted attic.
Купил на это. Нет, я же там был. Не знаю, что такое может быть.
He keeps hearing objects getting thrown around, dropped, or otherwise moving on their own. And when Dark Mystic goes to check what they are, something moves into the doorway as if rolled into place by a ghostly hand. Dark Mystic is certain that something paranormal is toying with him and arms himself. He may be right, but I'm not sure what use a blunt force instrument would be on something not of this world. A being made of shadows that peeks at him from around the door. The next time you gaze up into the serene night sky, you might experience a feeling of panic instead of peace. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by After Performance 2. The Redditor explains that these strange lights were seen in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina last year on July 19th. The lights were grouped in threes, and according to the Redditor, some disappeared before she could capture them on video. The video shows a trio of lights floating overhead in the sky, and a moment later, another trio closer to the horizon off in the distance. The sets of lights don't float in strict formation, but seem to each be wavering at their own pace. They then flicker and disappear. Redditor Professional Truck 3 suggests that these were paper lanterns lit and then launched from the beach, but the 70s Kids negates that, saying if these were lanterns, they'd drift apart. Well, some say the wind is obviously taking the lanterns in the same direction. After Performance 2 theorizes that they're all going to the same destination. Another Redditor, Buster Blevins, chimes in proposing that this is not necessarily a unique occurrence. He wrote, "Last Friday, a bunch of people saw something very similar to this in northern Wisconsin. The lights would appear in groups of 3, and it was as if there was a pattern that looked like the light was traveling in a circle around something." Any other theories as to what these strange lights could be? A YouTuber named Yvonne hears a noise coming from her kitchen and grabs her phone to record. After 15 seconds of silence, a cabinet door opens to let an item drop onto the counter.
Oh my god.
The obvious answer is that someone pulled a string to open it. However, the cabinet opens to the right and no one is on that side. I guess someone could have been directly underneath. but when Yvonne gets closer, you can see nobody is on the ground, so I'm not sure what to think. Next time you're in India, cruising in the UP, you might want to avoid driving in the rain. This couple was nearly consumed by an unseen pit or manhole. Thankfully, bypassers came to their aid. After the couple was pulled to safety, I'm sure there wasn't much that could be done to save the scooter. The husband was a cop, and both did not walk away from the incident unscathed. I think this serves as an example to exercise extreme caution when driving through any body of water. A YouTuber named Nicholas Asher is recording his 2 children when they nearly get more than just a little rain.
Whoa! Get inside! Get inside! Holy sh! Okay.
The lightning bolt hurtles down towards the kids and lands over in the next yard. From the sound of it, they quickly scatter to safety into the garage. When Gulf of Mexico explorers ventured deep below the sea, they may not have been expecting to get creeped out from what they found down there. The EV Nautilus was able to capture footage of a ghost shark, also called a chimera, near Grenada in the Caribbean. Ghost sharks are rarely seen, as they're usually too deep, anywhere from 8,500 feet to around 650 feet. For marine communities to capture on film, and this particular ghost shark was even rarer, as it had an eerie smile and was riddled with parasites. To capture this amount of creepiness on video underwater is quite a feat. A team member said, "He looks like he's smiling. It's like a Joker smile. Don't know about you, but I'd cringe to be on the receiving end of this smile." Parsnips and Parsimony is a wholesome family vlog YouTube channel, and not where you'd normally think to go to get your daily dose of horror. But in one vlog, they encounter something on their window that's pitch black and looks full of pus. I think the bottom might be moving during these 2 scenes, but it could also be the shaky camera.
And I have no idea what it is. That is what it looks like.
Anyway, they decide the only way to diagnose this find is to slice it open, but no answer lays in its oozing black insides. Is this a plant, animal, alien, or what? If you remove mold or something for a living, let me know what's going on here. The foreign substance breaks into slimy black clumps with no shape and no smell, or at least none they remark on. To this day, they have no idea if this was mold or not, and describe it only as a slimy something. If this is what the mold growing on the outside looks like, imagine what's on the other side of the walls. This man is all bundled up, and yet what's being reflected in his sunglasses leaves him shuddering. A bony face follows him no matter where he turns, its gaping mouth crying out without a word. The reflection of his arm does go in front of the face at 30 seconds, so maybe it's the way something's hung on his wall. I wish he would have flipped the camera to show what was in front of him, then maybe we would know if anything on the wall was making that creepy face or not. Bright lights can play tricks on you, but this is not a trick. Published by Lane Ghost Hunter in August of 2011, this scary phantom was captured on camera in a driveway. The driveway is dark at first, nothing there. When the car turns on its headlights, the woman holding the camera gasps. That's because she sees this creepy semi-transparent figure appear against the wall for a moment. After shaking in fear, the camera steadies, and the figure is gone. Do you see it? Or is it just a figment of our collective imaginations? A Canadian YouTube channel called The Soul Catcher suspects that this clown doll from Ontario feeds off the energy of the living. So they perform this experiment to see what paranormal activity they can catch on camera. Watch this and tell me if you think it's real or fake. The clown's arm moves by itself as soon as the clock strikes 3 a.m. I suppose it wouldn't be too hard to set a clock to 2:59, wait a minute, and then move the clown's arm with some fishing wire. So while this doesn't completely prove the doll is possessed, it's definitely strange. In this second experiment, the YouTuber removes the haunted clown doll's hat and places it on his knee. After 20 minutes, this happens. It looks like the clown is reaching for his hat, however his arms sound heavy enough that it could have been positioned in such a way to fall over time. The YouTuber wants to know why the other arm didn't fall, and to answer his question, I think it's been positioned so that the hand is more in the middle. So while these two experiments are not conclusive, that he may have had a haunted doll on his hands, and I encourage you to check out the rest of his experiments on his channel. Most of the time, security cameras capture hours and hours of useless footage. Sometimes, however, they capture something like this. Published in September of 2013, YouTuber Rainy Schooler writes, "A woman walks out of the darkness on a cold and wet night in the mountains far from a busy road and no immediate neighbors. The security camera is aimed into the wilderness and you can see a tree to the right side of the screen but nothing else. That is until, right in the middle of the shot, the figure appears, walks and stops and turns awkwardly. Not turning with her feet but just twisting with her upper body. Then she walks forward again before taking a sharp right turn and veering out of sight. The video moves forward about 45 seconds until the woman is seen winding around the tree and then is spotted back in the middle again, looking off into the wilderness, moving in the same strange start-stop fashion that she was doing before. A different security camera captures the woman walking up towards the house. Out of sight, it's not clear what she did alongside of the home, but she is soon seen again walking haphazardly away and around the same area near the tree in the back. She did this for 10 minutes, the video notes. Many in the comments think this woman must have been on something, but in the middle of nowhere. What do you think? I'm just glad they had security cameras so the homeowners were aware of her activities." A YouTuber named North by Wild West is enjoying Christmas with the family when suddenly a low rumbling noise from the woods gets everyone's attention.
The tree?
What was that?
Oh my god. Did you see that?
They see something dart behind the garage, and everyone rushes out of the door for a closer look. Soon they see the large dark outline of a large creature stomping off in the distance.
No way.
That can't be.
What the?
They don't see it again for a long time, but then it reappears along their property line for a bit longer before disappearing for good.
Oh my god.
At first I thought this video was probably fake because I did not hear any genuine fear in their voices, but then I realized they simply sounded uncertain of the situation themselves, which is reasonable. After all, this could be a real forest creature or someone in a gorilla suit. It could even be a neighbor playing a prank on them for all they know, but I do think, given these possibilities, their lackluster reaction is genuine. The world is filled with lost radio signals from long ago. One of these many mystery stations was this broadcast from East Germany that started in the 1970s. We still don't know what it was, only that it sounded like it could drive a person to madness if they listened for long enough. Every so often, the overwhelming wall of noise would give way to a group of men singing in twisted voices. Maybe it's just me, but this almost sounds like some kind of ancient ritual or chant. The broadcast abruptly stopped in 1990 after about 20 years. Give me your best guess as to what this broadcast was used for, because I haven't the slightest clue. This next video is most likely CGI, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time dissecting it. It was supposedly taken somewhere in the open waters in 2013. Crew members are recording a whale when all of a sudden, they capture something that, if not fake, is absolutely insane. The whole situation looks way too dramatic for me to believe it was just a natural event. I think a real shark attack would have been more visceral and also most likely would have taken place underwater. While wandering through a forest in Indonesia, these guys encounter a fearsome spirit. First, you hear a faint sound in the background. Then, after a lot of wandering through the darkness, you finally see the creature. It gives chase, and after escaping, they later encounter the thing again. I mean, this thing looks like a school teacher with a shawl wrapped around her head. Not super scary. Then again, encountering this in a forest? That would be very scary. That's not sludge you're looking at. Published by Casey Spotlight, a creepy sludge-like creature was captured on film in the shallows of a lake. The figure looks squidgy, mushy, rubbery, and above all, slimy. Its form seems malleable. Its movements is like an amoeba, altering its shape. It also appears to have a mouth, but one with no teeth and only grandma gums. Well, some in the comments say it's a leech. If that's the case, it's the biggest leech I've ever seen. What do you think it is? Any theories? A Reddit user named JMilka7 posted this weird doorbell camera video that she'll never forget anytime soon. I want to say that this is a bug, except it's glowing non-stop and appears to come together and then separate at 1 minute and 22 seconds. According to the accompanying post, this was the endpoint of some long beam of light that scanned his driveway all the way to his door and then back, over and over again, for about an hour between 9:40 and 10:40 at night. From the way she describes it, I wonder if someone had their house in their infrared sights and was waiting to take their lives. When you find a suitcase with a pentagram inside, you should probably let it be. Published by Paranormal Point in February of 2022, while looking at this mysterious collection, Maxim doesn't realize he's standing alongside evil.
Ух, ё. Друзья, не ошибаюсь. Это же вроде пентаграмма.
Soon the door closes at the end of the hall, and he can't open it.
Ах, черт. Я почему-то не могу ее сейчас открыть.
After he lights the pentagram, things only get stranger from there. When he asks who's there, this is the response.
Кто здесь?
And soon the demon isn't answering any more questions. What is in this basement with Maxim? And will it let him out? Fallon Taylor is a YouTuber who got the scare of a lifetime while competitively riding. She has almost finished a timed run when a surprised audience member points to something off camera. Less than 4 seconds later, a huge white bull breaks free from its pen and nearly collides with Fallon Taylor and her horse. Watch again and you'll see how close Fallon comes to getting knocked clean off. She barely dodges the bull by a few feet and makes it back to the safety of the horse pen. At first, I thought the perspective made the event look exaggerated, but Fallon later says she had to put her arm out and could almost touch the bull. I definitely believe her, but I'd like to know how close you thought the bull was when you first saw this video. During a mid-morning flight from Canada over the Appalachian Mountains in October of 2010, this passenger captured something mysterious from the air. Watch carefully. Can you see the reflections of light in the clouds? There also appears to be a disc-like shape that emerges from the clouds at the lower half of the screen. Watch again closely. Is this a genuine, unidentified flying object caught on camera? If not, what do you think this could possibly be? Kriparian is live streaming some Hearthstone when he gets into a scary Twitch moment that has his subscribers screaming that there's a ghost in the window. The unknown person leaves for a bit and then comes back only to open the door and help himself to something right by the door. Within 3 seconds, he is gone again.
Actually, where is my bag? Where's the bag?
Knowledge is power. His girlfriend goes out to investigate and finds them with the bag in one of the other rooms. They told her they thought it was theirs, but it's pretty clear from the sarcasm in Kriparian's reply that he doesn't believe them at all.
Oh, they thought it was their bag. Oh, yeah.
So this is one of the most popular and often talked about scary Twitch moments in the history of the platform, and yet a lot of people still don't know the full story. He was at a gaming event and apparently the person at the window was another live streamer who was actually hanging out with them earlier. If you look really closely, he does seem to put his hand up and knock on the glass at 25 seconds to try and get their attention. Nobody hears him though, so rather than disturb the live stream any further, he quietly opens the door and takes what he thought he left behind. I really doubt that anyone would be foolish enough to take something from a popular live streamer who is blatantly live streaming to thousands of people. So it seems like a simple case of miscommunication that was later blown way out of proportion by the internet. Paranormal investigator Tim Morozov has experienced his fair share of demon encounters over the years, but this is probably one of the most terrifying. What you're about to see is a demon trying to take Tim's soul. First, the demon shows its disdain for knock-knock jokes. Then it confronts him.
Блин, я даже не знаю, сколько времени. Уже рассвело.
It then speaks to him. This demon clearly wants him gone, and Tim finally heeds his warning. I think it's very smart of him to have gotten out when he did, considering this demon's level of aggression. I always find his videos compelling, but this one especially has me on edge. While spending the night in a haunted location in Saskatchewan, Canada, Redditor Purgatory Adventures felt the lightest touch. First, they see a figure on the Connect.
There it is again. Can you wave to us if that's you?
This is like directly right in front of me.
Can you wave if that's you? Whoa, it just picked up its hand. Can you wave? Can you wave to us?
They ask the figure to put both arms up, and it complies.
Thank you so much. Can you put both arms up in the air? Can you put them both up? Can you put the right and left? Oh, just went up. Dude, can you hold them up?
The figure is reluctant to reach for his hand.
Yeah, no way.
Can you reach for my hand? Can you reach for it? Can you grab?
What the?
Can you reach for it?
But at last, he reaches out.
For my hand.
Oh, there he is.
Whoa.
There it is.
Whoa, I felt that.
It just touched you.
I felt it.
Well, some believe this is a ghost, others think it's an interaction between people in parallel universes.
I felt it. I felt it touch my hand.
I've gotta say, I prefer that explanation. An extravagant wedding in Brazil has plans for the bride to arrive by helicopter. She and her brother are waiting to surprise the groom and everyone else who are patiently waiting not too far away. The skies are gray and there's no visibility. I'm guessing the pilot was probably navigating by special flight instruments when one of them falls, as indicated by the buzzing noise that begins at 1 minute and 46 seconds and continues for 10 seconds all the way down. The camera is ejected from the helicopter and rolls into a field. The red seen on the grass is actually the flashing emergency lights of the helicopter. Truly a horrifying event. As so many of these videos show, darkness is a recipe for the scariest things imaginable. Posted by YouTuber Ricardo Costa in June of 2009, the uploader writes, "A strange shape is spotted at dawn at the Santos Dumont building. In the first pass, it is possible to see only a spectrum without a definite shape, but something that resembles some type of animal. But then it is possible to see a more concrete form of a creature. Never imagined, and still realized that one more accompanies it in a quick jump and soon after disappears without a trace or idea of what they were. In the clip, some men are sitting in the dark when beyond them, a figure is seen moving quickly past. What that figure is, you can't really tell, as its movements are too quick and there is little light. As the men all jump up to pursue the creature, you glimpse it again for a brief moment as it crawls past a sliver of light in the room. It looks like it's doing a bear crawl. They wander around in the darkness a bit longer, searching for the creature, but it seems to have disappeared, or perhaps it's in hiding. Some in the comments suggest it's a feral being, possibly even the rake. What do you think it is? Whether human or not, seeing and hearing something move like this in the darkness would certainly make me freak out." This old video was allegedly taken in 1988, then found in a remote log cabin decades later before making its way onto YouTube. An unseen cameraman is intently studying an open window when suddenly this happens. The window snaps shut just as a paranormal wail fills the entire forest and the camera goes blank. The quality of this video kind of looks digital to me, so this could be fake, but I'm not so sure. Maybe they were using a filter to make it look older. Let me know if you have the answer and also how you could tell. The Terror al Extremo crew wanders the abandoned grounds of this haunted witch's house. In the middle of a forest, they hear a shrill shriek. While it could be human, it could also be harmless. It sounds like a bird call, but shortly after, a figure that they capture in a window seems to suggest otherwise. Are the legends true? Is this the witch that's said to haunt this place? I'm starting to think that it wasn't a bird. Australian YouTuber Sam Marsh is exploring far north Queensland when something odd crawls out of the forest to better observe him. Down the dirt road stands a tall creature roughly the same height as Sam. 53 seconds is when you can see a prominent head jutting forth as the creature inches back into the forest from whence it came. Sam walks to where it was and finds a well-worn path leading deeper into the dark forest. Looking back at him is the carefully concealed figure with a long neck and a white head. At 1 minute and 48 seconds, it turns back to look at him. What is it? A YouTuber named BloodZack12 is investigating a forest that's supposedly haunted. He and his friends don't see anything for a long time until they come across some weird discarded opera mask laying on top of an old dirty clothes pile. A short distance away they find another opera mask hanging up in the trees. They decide to take this one home and study it for clues. They are talking about what to do next when Bloodsack 12 notices something hunched over in front of them. Someone dressed in all black looks up at them from the thickets and then gives a short chase. I have a hard time believing this video is real because of the movie-like sound effects and timing, but I guess it is possible. Let me know if you think they were genuinely being chased by some maniac lurking in the woods, or if the third person was just a friend. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.